This is verse 27 of the 19th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. We're wrapping up the conversation that was triggered by a rich young ruler who had come and asked Jesus about what it takes to get eternal life. Jesus, of course, remarks that it's difficult for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Peter and the other disciples were concerned about that, wondering if rich people can't get in, then who can? And of course, Jesus' response there is typical of the entire New Testament understanding that the things that are impossible for us are nevertheless possible with God, that we don't give birth to ourselves, but God is the one who can effect the new birth. And that leads now Peter to pose a new question. So we have tota, declinable adverb then, apokrythes from apokrynami, answered, the aorist participle. It's used idiomatically in the New Testament. Typically this would be rendered, he answered and said. The aorist participle would be better, more technically, he having answered said, apen. And of course that's a little awkward as well. It's just a kind of phrase that occurs so frequently. It's worth making a little mental note of it. So he, Petros, the subject, Petros having answered, apen, said, from lego, I say, indirect object, auto, to him, dative, masculine, singular, idu, interjection, simply look, and then hemes with emphasis, so we, as opposed to others is the idea. Usually the emphatic form here will suggest this as opposed to that, and we as opposed to others, aphekamen, from aphemi. This is I forgive, but it also is to simply put something down, to leave it, to unburden oneself with it. So we have left is the way this is usually rendered. It's the second or first person plural, aorist active indicative. We have left panta, adjective, in the neuter, accusative. We have left all things, used substantively here. We left all things, kai akaluthesamen, from akaluthao, I follow. This is again the first person plural, aorist active indicative. So we have left all things and followed, so I followed you. This takes the dative, so it's the comment by Peter that they've left everything behind, abandoned all of it to follow Jesus. Of course, their means were probably considerably less than those of the rich young ruler who had just been there. But nevertheless, it was everything they had, and they'd left it all behind in their devotion to Christ and willingness to follow him. And so he poses the question, te, interrogative pronoun, what, ara used here, therefore, what, therefore, estai. This is the future of ami, I am, what will be, hemen, to us. Some people think that Peter's posing a question about eternity. It's not likely. At this point, their view of things is still very much this world, and they know Jesus is establishing a kingdom. They don't really quite get what the kingdom will be like, and I'm sure the thought in Peter's mind was what is going to be ours in terms of some kind of temporal idea. You know, who's going to be holding which office, who's going to have which responsibility, who's going to have the corner office on the 5th floor, you know, that kind of thing. And that's probably as far as Peter was thinking about this, and it may explain to some degree the somewhat enigmatic answer that we're going to find Jesus gives to this question.